Hello, this is Howard from DSPIRA, and now we're going to demonstrate how to solder another type of transistor. This one happens to have a large ground and 3 prongs. Again, I will remove this first, and I'm going to put a dab on one of the 3 pads, because again, it's easier to solder when one foot is attached. So let's try middle one. Picking the middle one makes it a little difficult because you have a lot of material that will heat up before it will get hot enough to melt the solder. That's actually the case with a lot of these circuits. Underneath the purple, a lot of it's just ground, and the copper sucks up a lot of heat before the part you want gets hot enough. So let's pick a spot that's a little easier, for instance that particular paddle. Alright, so now that that is there, I'm going to take my transistor and put it about where I want it to be. I'm going to heat it up and then move my transistor in the right spot. Again, don't forget to heat the arm, and that should do it. Because obviously you want this to adhere to that particular prong right there. Okay, so now we're going to go and solder the other 3 attachment points. So again, you want to make sure you touch the prong as well as the pad. Again, try not to heat the capacitor that's nearby, so you want to come in at the right angle so you're not too close to anything. And this should adhere very nicely. Good. That should do it. Alright, and the last thing to do is the large ground on the other side. And again, what you should do, of course, is touch both the copper and the prong or foot. Alright, starting to do something, finally. Well, that's not the prettiest, but it is a connection. Hello again. This is an addendum to the soldering of the transistor. We were having trouble getting this to actually fill in with a lot of solder, and it turns out you can also use a heat gun and heat this whole area. And here it causes these 2 areas to sort of firm up and form a nice shape. And you can actually do a little soldering if this is hot enough using the heat gun, and just touch here and it melts and created this nice little attachment here. And here it was also the same thing, the attachment, the air got hot enough with the heat gun, and then I just put solder here and it melted all around here. What I will do is show you again using another spot on the transistor. I'm going to move it over, and so you can see that I did 2 of the pads on the feet. And you can see that it's pretty decent, but what I'm going to do now is use the heat gun because I'm having trouble getting solder onto that and a lot of solder onto this one. So I'm going to turn on the heat gun again. And if you have a heat gun, it does make life a little easier. I'm going to heat it up, this area. You'll see the two areas I saw before sort of firm up and form a nice bubble. And I'll show you how easy it is to melt some solder onto the larger tab there. Okay, so it should mean that this spot right here is hot enough. We're going to try to solder and see what happens. Okay, you can see that solder is melting quite easily now, attaching itself to the plate as well as the tab on the transistor itself. So that should give you a very good connection now. I will now put the heat gun away. It should have done its job. And that should be it.